All right, second video of the day. I talked about it in my last video about loving the YouTube community and, spreading around care packages and, we comment and watch everybody's videos and stuff. But I think we should also participate in contests. And I need to do a better job of that. So I am entering 2 contests as part of this video. So the first one, and both these guys are right around 100 subscribers. Okay, so if you haven't checked them out, be sure to check them out. The first one is Collecting America's Pastime. His real name is Kyle, and his channel is a lot about Hall of Famers, a lot of vintage. So we really should get along, as I love Hall of Famers and vintage. And that's why I enjoy watching his channel. He's doing a series where he reveals his playing days cards of each player in order by Hall of Fame class, starting with 36. He did 1937. I think he recently did 1938, and he's going to keep going, which is pretty cool. I love watching it that way. Really interesting, Kyle. But his contest was that for you to share a card from your collection that described you outside of YouTube or your collection. And I think I have the easiest answer for this question than anybody does, because I work for a baseball team. I work for the Gastonia Grizzlies, the Ticket Leprechaun. That's the name of my channel. And the reason it's easy for me to share a card like this that, says who I am outside of YouTube, which is my job, being the Ticket Leprechaun, is I have my own baseball card. I mean, how easy is that? So all of our business cards, we call them business baseball cards. So there is my business baseball card, the Ticket Leprechaun. It's one of my older ones. I've got a newer one now. New hat, new suit. But that's my entry for Kyle, Collecting America's Pastime. Now, before I do the second entry, I want to share a Bible verse with you guys, because the second contest I'm entering is for Lee. His channel is Blue Ink. That's B-L-U Ink, I-N-K, is his channel name. And his contest is submitting your Hall of Fame ballot for 2019. I'm not only going to say what my ballot would be, who I would vote for, but who I actually think gets in, because I think that is 2 different answers. Before I do that, though, we're talking about great players and what they achieved to be in the Hall of Fame. But Psalms 95:3 says, "For the Lord is a great God and a king above all gods." And what it means by gods there is any idols. So anything that you think is more important than God, whether it's a person or money or material things, whatever it is, nothing is greater than Jesus. He is the king of all gods. So just keep that in mind as I share my Hall of Fame ballot and a bunch of great players with you guys. So I'm going to flip the view around and go through my spreadsheet that will help me illustrate why I cast my votes and how I cast my votes for the Hall of Fame ballot if I had one. All right, so this is my spreadsheet. I hope you guys can see this okay. Filming it from my phone on my laptop. And a lot of guys, I feel, choose who they think is Hall of Fame worthy on the eye test or something arbitrary, and I just don't do it that way. I created this spreadsheet years ago without, starting to look at players and statistics deeper. I created these thresholds, which I believe are in 2 levels: a requirement, which would be the lower threshold number, where you would need a minimum of 2 to be considered a Hall of Famer, or an automatic qualifier, which is what I call the inner sanctum. If you hit one of the major milestone numbers at a bigger threshold, you're automatically a Hall of Famer if you hit one of those. Ergo, 500 home runs, 3,000 hits, 300 wins, 3,000 Ks, that sort of thing. That being said, some people even say about pitching, oh, no one's ever getting to 300 wins again. Well, that's why I changed the minimum requirement, well, not really changed, but made it lower to where you could still qualify as a pitcher under that category. you would just need something else to go with it if you just had 200 wins. So I'm going to go through these really fast on what the levels are and then reveal my ballot and why. Home runs, 400 homers is the lower threshold for the qualifier. 500 is the automatic. For hits, 2,500 is the qualifier. 3,000 is automatic. Stolen bases, 500 qualifier. 800 automatic. 1,500 RBIs qualifier. 1,800 automatic. 1,500 run qualifier. 1,800 automatic. 200 wins qualifier. 300 wins automatic. 2,500 strikeouts for a pitcher is the qualifier. 3,000 is the automatic. 400 saves is the qualifier for a pitcher. 500 is automatic. Then I also have awards to account for things, that they earned over their career that, may not necessarily be statistical directly. But more often than not, they are. So this would just echo players that already have great numbers the majority of the time. 7 Gold Gloves is a qualifier. 12 is automatic. Same marks for Silver Sluggers, 7 and 12. Cy Youngs, 2 is the qualifier. 3 or more is the automatic. Same for MVPs, 2 qualifier, 3 automatic. 10-time All-Star is a qualifier. 15-time All-Star is automatic. 3 batting titles is the qualifier. 8 is the automatic. 2 pitching titles is the qualifier. 5 is the automatic. And Triple Crown is the qualifier. Triple Crowns is the automatic, meaning multiples. So without further ado, let me release my ballot and tell you why. The first guy I would vote for is Mike Mussina, who has 270 wins, which is over the 200 win qualifier, and 2,813 strikeouts, as well as 7 Gold Gloves. So he meets 3 of the requirements. Clear Hall of Famer, right? Next up, I would vote for Curt Schilling because I could care less what he does off the field. As a baseball player, he was an all-time great. Not only does he meet the qualifier of 200 wins, but he's over the automatic qualifier of 3,000 Ks, one of 16 pitchers in the history of the game to have that many strikeouts. So he's a no-brainer in my mind. I think the only reason he's been off this long is because of his antics. The next guy I would vote for is Omar Vizquel, who has 2,877 hits, over the 2,500 mark for qualifier, and 11 Gold Gloves, which is 1 short of the automatic, but is definitely over the qualifier. So he would get my vote. Next is Larry Walker, who has 7 Gold Gloves and 3 batting titles. Surprisingly, he falls short in some of the other metrics, but according to my spreadsheet, that's enough. He has 2 qualifiers. Next is my first guy that may surprise some people, but Fred McGriff would get my vote. He had over 400 home runs, the minimum qualifier for me there, and over 1,500 RBIs with 1,550. The 493 home runs was also just 7 short, which I don't think means anything, but it is of note that he was close to the Immortal 500 Club. The next guy will also surprise people, I believe, but this guy would get my vote, and that is none other than Andruw Jones. Over 400 home runs with 434 and 10 Gold Gloves, which is more than the 7 minimum requirement for me, and he is one of among, I believe it's 6 players all time with double-digit Gold Gloves. I think he's one of the greatest defensive players ever. Then, to round out the last 2 guys I would vote for, this guy should be obvious to everyone. I'm sure he's on everyone's ballot. He should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Mariano Rivera, well over the automatic qualifier of 500 saves with 652. He's the all-time leader to go along with 13 All-Star appearances. He should easily be a first ballot Hall of Famer. The last player on my ballot would be Roy Halladay, who has 203 wins, over the 200 mark, and 2 Cy Youngs. He falls short in strikeouts, but he was one of the greatest pitchers of the era, and it reflects in those 2 statistics and awards, in my opinion. The players I believe that will actually get in are Edgar Martinez, Mariano Rivera, and Roy Halladay. So with that ballot, you're probably asking a couple questions. Well, Jake, if you think Edgar Martinez is going to get in, why didn't you vote for him? Well, as I read off all of my qualifiers, Edgar Martinez meets zero of my qualifiers. He has amazing support from the community that are more sabermetrics inclined, if you will, with WAR, his slash stats, being top 10 in his generation for this period of 5-10 years, whatever it is. That's all fine and good, but I've always been more of a counting statistic guy. Give me 20 years or 15 years of greatness as opposed to a short period of time. Not to mention, Edgar Martinez was a DH, and there's nothing wrong with just being a DH if your offensive numbers are there. But the fact that he does not meet any of these even minimum requirements, and he was a hitter only, there's no way I could vote for him. The other guys you're probably looking for, I didn't mention before now, are the Barry Bondses, the Roger Clemens, the Gary Sheffields, Palmeiros, Sosas, McGuires, etc., etc. Now, I mentioned earlier in my video that I only care about what you did on the field. That still holds true. However, I also care if you cheated on the field or not. And to me, the steroid users are cheaters, and I would not vote for them. I will add one point to that, though. If the first guy ever gets in, whether it's Bonds, Clemens, whoever, if you let one steroid user in, there should be nothing holding any of them back. I don't think you can go gray area of, oh, well, we don't know when he started steroids. We don't know how much his numbers were affected by steroids. I think it's either you keep the steroid users out or you let them all in. I'm on the outside, but like I said, if Bonds or Clemens or one of the other guys that were steroid users get in, you let them all in if their numbers are there. So I hope you enjoyed my Hall of Fame ballot submission for Blue Ink. Thank you guys for watching. God bless.